Okay, we are on the page 8, stanza 40. Liberation occurs through seeing, stanza 40, liberation occurs through seeing the truth. What is the use of seeing emptiness? This is said by the lower schools. Then the response, why? Because in scriptures, so the scriptural citation and the reasoning, employing from two directions to convince that the wisdom of emptiness is required to achieve enlightenment, or to achieve nirvana. Because in scriptures it is proclaimed that without this path there is no enlightenment, meaning that the Buddha said in a sutra that the ngobu dushijana tharbamen, those with the view of objective things will not have liberation. This is what the Buddha said. So in scripture it very clearly said that holding on objectively existing things, one cannot have liberation. This is what the sutra said. Then the 41 and down, 41, so this is the next part, which say the minor practitioners, particularly the Madhyamikas, what they will say is that they say that these things are what the Buddha said. And then they would, the lower schools, particularly the Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, they will say that, but you are citing the Buddha scripture, but which Buddha scripture you are citing, right? Which scripture you are citing? Then they will say Mahayana Sutras. Mahayana Sutras. So they will say, Mahayana Sutras are controversial. Mahayana Sutras are not really the Buddha's teachings, right? Okay, so it is here because of His Holiness the Dalai Lama that now the different traditions, they are coming together. The Theravada tradition, Chinese Mahayana tradition, Tibetan tradition, they are coming together. Here because of His Holiness Dhamma's effort. And otherwise, say the attitude of the Mahayana practitioners, like Chinese Mahayana and Tibetan Buddhism, they will say that, okay, they and their followers, right? They and their followers, but the Westerners, okay, they will say, oh, Hinayana, this is small vehicle, right? We are the great vehicle. So it's just inferior. So this is how the Mahayana people, Chinese Buddhism and the Tibetan Buddhism, they look down upon the Theravada. They are just Hinayana. They are very small, inferior. And Hinayana, they will say, the Theravada people, they said that they are not Buddhism, they are not Buddhist in the first place. Right? They are not Buddhist in the first place because what they are saying is not taught by the Buddha. This is something which came later. It's not a real Buddhist. Right? So they disqualify us from being Buddhists. And we see them as inferior. This is just unnecessary problem, and yet this problem was since long time ago. It's not just a recent development, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama is bringing these together, the three traditions together. Okay, so now let's see what they have to say. What was the problem since 7th century AD? So this text was written in 7th century AD, right? It says, but Mahayana is not established. Established meaning it is not established as the Buddha's teachings. Not established as the Buddha's teachings. Well, then so this is the position of the lower schools, particularly the Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas. Then the next line is the Prasangika and the Mahayana practitioners. Well, how can your scripture, meaning scripture in Pali, be established as an authentic teaching of the Buddha? Okay, now they respond, because they are established for both parties. Meaning they would say that the sutras which we accept as sutras in Pali, they are something, the sutras which we accept and you also accept. And that is true. Which the sutras that you find in the Pali tradition meant for the Buddha's teachings, they are actually accepted by both the parties. The Theravadins and the Mahayana both. So that this is not of dispute. This is something which is of the taken for granted. Everybody takes that as the Buddha's teachings. They were not established as, because they are established for both parties. Okay, they were not established as valid at the outset. Okay, now this is, the last line is by the Mahayana practitioners. Mahayana would say, argue that no, even that is also controversial. Right? It's not because they think, Mahayana does not think that the Theravada, not the Theravada, the sutra in Pali, Hinayana Sutras. The Mahayana is not saying that Hinayana Sutras are controversial. This is not what it's saying. As per your reasoning to refute our sutra as genuine, refuting our sutra to be genuine. So the same logic I can use it to refute your point also. So therefore, if this is the reason, then this is the reason to say that my sutras are controversial, then the same reason applies to your sutra also, that your sutra becomes controversial. So therefore, they were not established as valid at the outset. Okay, 42. Any criterion that would give confidence in them would apply equal to the Mahayana Sutra also. Them is the Hinayana Sutras. So here, Hinayana, it is not to denigrate the other traditions as lower, inferior. Hinayana, hin has a connotation small. Small doesn't mean that they practice the inferior. The small is in the context of they thinking. They thinking not for all beings. They think for, if you ask them, why are you practicing Dharma? What is the answer? So that I will be freed from samsara. They will not say, so that I can benefit all beings. Whereas at least the Mahayana practitioners, if you say, why are you practicing Dharma? So that I can benefit all beings. This is the difference. So one talks about all beings, one talks about personal liberation. So personal is small as compared to the all. So therefore, it is known as the Hinayana. Okay. Now any criterion that would give confidence in them referring to the Hinayana Sutras. Hinayana Sutras. Any criterion that would give confidence in them would apply equally to the Mahayana. So whatever reasons that you put to say that the Hinayana Sutras are genuine sutras, the same reason we can apply to the Mahayana Sutras. Okay. If accepted by two different parties make something true, then the Vedas and so forth also become the true. Okay. So what reason they gave is what? So our sutra is a genuine sutra because I and you both parties accept it as genuine. If this is the reason why you say that the Hinayana Sutras are the genuine, then you have to say that the non-Buddhist sutras, non-Buddhist teachings, for example, say in the earlier times, at the time of the Buddha, there were other traditions, non-Buddhist traditions. These traditions, they were, the friends among themselves. So they discuss among themselves. They will both sides will agree that this sutra, this teaching is a standard teaching. For example, physics, right? Say physics, for example, Albert Einstein will say this is a good teaching, and Niels Bohr will say this is good teaching. They agree. Two parties agree. It is not necessary everybody has to agree. If everybody has to agree, then even the Hinayana Sutras will not be agreed by the non-Buddhist traditions. Right? It's simply because two parties agrees, then in all traditions there are two parties which agree on one thing. So with the Mahayana Sutra also, the Arya Nagarjuna and Acharya Chandragiri both agree. So two parties agree. Okay, any criterion that would give confidence in them would apply equally to the Mahayana. If acceptance by two different parties makes something true, something as valid, then Vedas, the other non-Buddhist traditions, also should be something true with respect to you. 43. But it is because the Mahayana is disputed, right? Okay, the Mahayana Sutras, they are disputed. Meaning the Mahayana Sutras, people say that they are not the genuine teaching of the Buddha and so forth. Since the scripture is disputed by non-Buddhists, since your scripture, Hinayana scriptures are also disputed by the non-Buddhists, so your sutra also becomes disputed. And some other sections of the scripture are disputed by yourself and others, they would also have to be discarded too. Within the Hinayana Sutras, there are some to be accepted literally, some which cannot be accepted literally. They are. Because the Buddha, when the Buddha taught various teachings, and some the Buddha taught just to make the other person happy. Right? Because if somebody is going through a severe depression, severe depression, because the person kills someone else, and going through depression, regret. So to lift the person up from this, to lift up the spirit of this person, the Buddha said, killing is fine. The Buddha doesn't mean killing is fine, but immediately the person has to be relieved. If the person is not relieved from that regret, the person doesn't have the mindset to listen to the dharma, right? So for that matter, the same. Okay. Okay. So within the Buddha's teachings. Okay, same, simple. It is not just only the Buddha's teachings. Everywhere, sensible people will do like this. So when I was in class 6, 7, 8, I learned that the sun is at the center. All the other planets are moving around the sun. Is it true or not true? Huh? Not true. It's true. And sun is static and the other planets are moving. It's not that our planet is static and the sun is moving. This is not true. Sun is static and the other planets are moving. This is what I learned when I was in class 6. When I was in class 11, I learned that even the sun is moving. Sun, along with the 9 planets, they're all moving as a part of the Milky Way galaxy. Right? And I was shocked. Okay, what I learned from this class 6, this was a skillful ways. Right? So likewise, the Buddha also, in a skillful way, there are some times where deliberately to make the person feel happy, to make the person elated, to lift his or her spirit from going to depression, the Buddha taught sometimes the things which can be interpretable later on. Okay. 43. Okay, 44. While the bhikshu, okay, now this 44 down is the reasoning, the real reasoning. Okay, reasoning. Now, say the Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha Shakyamuni, when he passed away, so in the mundane sense, in a very historical mundane sense, we speak about the Buddha Shakyamuni at the age of 81, he passed away. So as what we learned this morning, this afternoon, the Buddha did not really pass away. There's no passing away for the Buddhas. So, because our karma exhausts, so it appears as though the Buddha passed away. Okay, now according to that historical context, say the Buddha passed away, then the Buddha appointed Mahakashyap as his heir. Buddha appointed his Mahakashyap as his heir, right? The head of the Sangha. Okay, so there, all these, whether the Buddha's teachings at that point, in those days, whether the Buddha's teaching is still alive or not, in those days, it was on the basis of whether or not there is the very standard, very authentic leader, head of the Sangha. So, in this case, it was Mahakashyap. Mahakashyap. Okay, so Mahakashyap was appointed by the Buddha before the Buddha passed away as the next heir of the Buddha. So, Mahakashyap, all those heirs should be Arhat. If somebody is not Arhat, cannot be the heir of the Buddha. All these heirs should be Arhat. So, if somebody is not Arhat, then the teaching of the Buddha is questionable, meaning that it's not so considered as so living and so pure. So it says that while the bhikshus are the foundation of the teachings, bhikshus meaning the monks, particularly the monks, Arhat monks. Arhat monks, in those days, Arhat monks are there, then you say that, okay, the teaching of the Buddha is so alive. Because the bhikshus, the Arhat bhikshus, are the foundation of the teachings, it is hard to posit the bhikshus. Meaning that, they say, now you are Prasangika and I am the low schools. Now I am arguing against you. That okay, you are arguing against me. So from my point of view, to achieve Arhatship, what is required? From my point of view, I'm the non-Prasangika. So which selflessness? The selflessness of autonomous of sensuality. As long as I realize this and then meditate and practice it, then gate para samgate bodhisattva, I achieve Arhatship. Whereas, even if I do that, even if I do that, just the wisdom of the selflessness of autonomous substantial reality, and then I keep practicing it very ardently, and then go through, say, the steps, whether you call it gati or whatever, you go through the steps, and then I reach a stage whereby my afflictions cool down, right? And then say, I think that now I've already gotten rid of the self-grasping ignorance. I've already gotten rid of the holding to the self, and then people around me, they also sense that, okay, now he's arahat. Okay, so let's say we create this scenario. You are the prasangika. So from your point of view, what do you know about my meditation? That I meditate only, hey, selflessness of autonomous substantial reality. Okay, now from your point of view, did I eradicate this self? Have I eradicated this self-grasping ignorance? Why not? Because I did not meditate on emptiness of objective existence. Okay, so from your point of view, even if I'm very calm, peaceful, and not affected by the negative emotions, but from your point of view, guaranteed that I have not achieved arahatship. You're getting it? Okay, this is very important. Look, now, and people who are following me, who are those people? Lower schools except prasangika. So from their point of view, I am arahat. So they would say that I'm arahat, and you say that you are not arahat. You're getting it? Okay, so this arahat is known as, is actually not arahat from prasangika point of view, which is the reality. It's not arahat. Now this arahat, the label is given. This arahat is known as arahat as stated in Abhidhamma. Don't forget it. Arahat as stated in Abhidharma. Okay, so there are two arahats. The real arahats and arahats as stated in Abhidharma. Okay, arahats real arahats are the arahats who meditated on emptiness of objective existence and then having eradicated self-grasping ignorance. Now the arahats as stated in the Abhidhamma, right, what they've been meditating is just meditating on the selflessness of autonomous substantial reality, right? And then they reach to some spiritual realization where they become very calm, not easily affected by external factors, and they think that they already are freed from samsara. And all the followers, they take the person as arahat. So from the prasangika point of view, the person is still not arahat, although the person has reached a very great level of realization, but the person is still not arahat. But then they claim themselves arahat. So you call this person as arahat as stated in Abhidharma, right? Which Abhidharma? Abhidharma, so generally speaking, Abhidharma, which is followed commonly by all traditions, which means followed by the lower schools also. So from there, somebody identified as arahat because of a very clear realization of the selflessness of autonomous substantial reality, that person is identified as arahat, but according to prasangika, still the person is not arahat. Okay, so now the prasangikas are challenging them, saying that if for example, say what we identified as a great arahat Mahakashyap. Okay. And then the second heir of the Buddha was, the first heir was Mahakashyap. Second one was Ananda. Ananda is the second. Okay. So all these heirs, there were 7 heirs. 7 heirs. All these heirs were arahats. You getting it? Arahats. So now you as prasangika, you are arguing against the low school, saying that, which means that these arahats, they only practice the selfless autonomous substantiality. Then the other schools will say yes, right? Then if they only practice the selflessness of autonomous substantial reality, they do not meditate on the emptiness of objective existence, then from your point of view, they are not arahats. You're getting it? If they are not arahats, then they cannot be the heirs of the Buddha. from your point of view, from Prasanga point of view, they cannot be heirs of Buddha. And then say if they are not the heirs of Buddha, then the pure teaching of the Buddha is disrupted. Okay. While the bhikshus are the foundation of the teachings, it is hard to pursue the bhikshus. These bhikshus meaning arhat bhikshus. If the lower schools say that these bhikshus they meditate only on the selfless autonomous substance reality, right? Then you cannot find the arhat bhikshu who meditated on the emptiness of objective existence. If you cannot posit a bhikshu meditating on the emptiness of objective existence, then you cannot find arhat bhikshu. Because to achieve arhat, you should have the meditation on the emptiness of autonomous substantial reality. Okay. For those minds without objects, it is hard to transcend sorrow. Okay. Okay, sorry. It is hard to, 44. While the bhikshus are the foundation of the teachings, it is hard to posit the bhikshus. Okay. Now the next. For those minds with objects, with true objects, with objective existence as the object. For those minds with objective existence as the object, it is hard to transcend sorrow. Okay. Why is somebody, for example, like the Mahakashyap, Ananda, if they meditated only on the selflessness of autonomous substantial reality, then they cannot be posited as arahant. Why not? Because in which case they will have a sense of seeing things as objectively real. If they see things as objectively real, they cannot transcend sorrow. For those who minds with true existence as the objects, it is hard to transcend sorrow. Okay, this is something. Okay, it's not just a debate between these two schools. It is what we have to go through our own mind. You're getting it? Particularly once you get a glimpse of what emptiness is. What emptiness is, then see to how our perception is deceptive. When you look at the flower, when you look at your, when you look at the book, when you look at yourself, then when you go to your job. So then you see that in all these interactions, you see the element of deception. That things don't really exist the way they appear to me. It's deceptive appearance happening. Once you get this experience, then see how we behave in a day-to-day life, right? How, say, we show aggression, how we become irritated. When we become irritated, what's the emotional reaction? What is our emotional perception? We see things as objectively real, right? Same, likewise, any emotions that are uneasiness comes to you, attachment, anger, jealousy, whatever comes to your mind, or a little bit of feeling of low, the sadness, these things happen. Just observe how the mind, these emotions are related to seeing things as objectively real, right? So the moment you see that things don't exist the way they appear to me, they're empty objective reality, the moment you get it, right, these disturbing emotions instantly dissolve. So from this you will get a very profound conviction that the wisdom of emptiness is so precious, and this is one which is a final panacea to heal all my problems. You're getting it? This is so precious. Okay, so this is not just a debate outside. This is to be reflected inwardly. Inwardly as to how when you go through emotional states, right? The turbulent state, you are citing the lower school's position that things exist objectively real. And then when you say, no, I have to double check whether you have to question whether this is true or not, you try to meditate emptiness, then you are citing the prasangika, right? So there's a clash within yourself. How your natural reaction, attachment, anger, jealousy arise, so that is backed by the belief that things are objectively real as posited by the lower schools. And when you say, no, I have to question this, it's questionable, so it's under question, so when you actually subject this ultimate analysis, then, oh no, things don't exist the way they appear to me, then you are going to the prasangika's position. So this is how the clash is going, this debate is actually going within yourself. Instead of Instead of these, say, okay, these are the scholarly debate, it's not really for me, I'm for, for my practice, right? This is not for practice. This is where we are going wrong. We are underestimating ourselves, and we are going wrong. Okay. 45. But they are liberated. But these arahats as stated in Abhidhamma, they are liberated. Lower schools, they are saying they are liberated. They are arahats. How dare that you condemn them? They are arahats. They are liberated as they eliminate afflictions. They have already eliminated afflictions, right? They are liberated. Okay. Now, then this line is said by the lower schools. Now, Prasangika, that liberation must occur immediately, despite their lacking afflictions. They have the afflictions, right? That liberation must occur immediately. One, despite their lacking afflictions, they have the karmic potential. Okay. 2 points made by Prasangika against them. Okay, now Prasangika would argue by saying that liberation must occur immediately. Immediate meaning? Okay, simply because, how can you say that this person is liberated? Because look at him, right? Afflictions all come down, right? Say, what can easily trigger attachment, anger, jealousy and so forth, the person does not react. There's so much of calmness there. Okay, if this is the reason, then immediately meaning, say, like what we call as the dirts, right? Okay, now the Prime Minister of the Singapore is coming, right? Oh, we have to remove the dirt. No time now. What's the best easy way? Cover it with a clean cloth, and then put some flowers on it. Right? It is so nice. Okay, so the dirts are not removed, but the dirts are not visible. You're getting it? Dirts are not visible. Flowers are visible. Dirts are not visible, but the dirts are there. So simply because the person does not react with the negative emotions, even in the face of the triggers, does not mean that the person has to eradicate these. The defilements are still there. Okay, so simply because the visible afflictions are not there, if the person has achieved enlightenment or nirvana, then the liberation must occur immediately after suppressing, not eradicating, immediately after suppressing the afflictions. You're getting it? Immediately after suppressing. When you suppress the afflictions, afflictions are gotten rid of, not gotten rid of. They are still there. Emotions are suppressed, right? Negative afflictions are suppressed. Triggers arise. Still, if you suppress them quite effectively, even the triggers arise, even the triggers are there, the afflictions don't arise. Unless the very subtle triggers arise, the impetus or the triggers arise, then the afflictions don't arise. So it is like simply, even by suppressing, not by eradicating. Okay, tell me, say the afflictions such as attachment, anger, jealousy, ignorance. If you suppress them, they're not visible on the surface. Does it mean that person has achieved nirvana? Not yet. Because the nirvana is not marked by the non-visibility of the afflictions. It is marked by eradication of the afflictions. Only when the afflictions are eradicated, then the nirvana is achieved. Simply because the afflictions are not visible. If somebody has eradicated, somebody has achieved nirvana, then you have to say that anybody who just suppress the afflictions, the person should achieve nirvana immediately. Immediate meaning must occur immediately after even suppressing the afflictions. Despite, okay, one. Now the question is back to you. Okay, now how can you say that this person has not achieved arahatship? Somebody to achieve arahatship, the person will not take rebirth. Do you agree with me? If you achieve nirvana, if you achieve arahatship, then what is the distinctive feature of that person? The person will not take rebirth in samsara again. You getting it? person will not take rebirth in samsara again. So now you have to prove that this person will take rebirth. Okay, so what they're saying, what the Prasanga is saying is, despite their lacking affliction here is what? Manifest affliction. Despite their lacking manifest afflictions, they still have the karmic potential. You getting it? Okay, now they still have the karmic potential. Okay, let's say, okay, say, tell me, somebody meditated on emptiness of objective existence, and then gone through this path, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. You getting it? Okay, so that person, let's say the person achieved arhatship. That person achieved arhatship. Today, for example, today, the person achieved arhatship. So this person, let's say who? Okay, not here, they're all bodhisattvas. I'm talking about the just arhat, personal arhat, the personal liberation. So there's somebody achieved personal liberation today. Shirvaka arhatship today, right? Which means the person still has this contaminated body. Yes, it's the same body, right? Okay. Only thing is that the person's self-grasping ignorance is gone right off. And because of which, all the offshoots in the form of attachment, anger, jealousy, all these things dissolve. Okay, no more. Now tell me, will this person, or is it possible that this person will go through these physical ailments and so forth? This already achieved arhatship today. So this person, will the person keep aging, become older, and sometimes become sick? Yes, arhat still become sick. Huh? Okay, physically you think that he or she is going to become sick? No, physically he or she can become sick? It's arhat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, lah. Right? It doesn't matter. Right? So, although arhat, still the body can keep aging, right? Can become sick. Okay. In fact, the arhats, there were cases where arhats went through great physical hardships. There were many cases. Okay. So now let's say that this arhat, because this arhat still goes through sickness, aging, death and so forth, my question to you. So this arhat, what makes these sickness and these things continue? Because of the contaminated karmas. Karmas still there. Afflictions are gone. Afflictions are cut, but the karmas, contaminated karmas are still there. You getting it? So it says, despite their lacking afflictions, they have the karmic potential. You getting it? They have no karmic, and this karmic potential will throw them to the next life in samsara. You getting it? Okay, so what you are saying is that arahat, as stated in Abhidhamma, they are not arahats because they will continue to take birth in samsara because they have the karmic potential. You getting it? Do you follow this? Okay, if this is what you are saying, then my question back to you is the arahat according to you. You? Oh, arahat according to you, the prasangikas, you who took somebody as an arahat, will that person take birth in samsara again? According to you, it should be, because even that person also has the contaminated karmas. Karmic potentials are there in them. What is the answer? What? No. You said the karma, because this person goes sickness, aging and death. So to go through sickness, aging and death must be karmic potential there. Without karmic potential, how can this person go through sickness, aging and death? Huh? Okay, now Singapore Prasangika got stuck. Okay, let's see what next to be said. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the study of the 12 links of dependent origination is very important. Study of 12 links of dependent origin is very important. Okay, the seed, karmic seed, apple seed, karmic seed, apple seed. You're getting it? Karmic seed, metaphor I'm giving is apple seed. If the apple seed, I keep it on the table for aeons and aeons, do you think that seed will germinate into a sprout? Why not? Because this seed, unless it meets with other conditions, it will not germinate into a sprout. Karmic potentials, unless it meets with the water affliction, it will never germinate in the form of projecting you in samsara. You're getting it? For this karma to throw you into samsara, next birth, this karma must be complemented by the water afflictions. And afflictions are all gone rid of. You're getting it? So therefore, although there's a karma, but the afflictions, because afflictions are not there, this karma will not throw you into samsara. This karma can create problem on you in this life, but cannot throw you into next life. You're getting it? Okay. So this is the answer which you should be giving, but this answer is same the opponents also giving. Let's see. 47. No, 46. But it is definite that they do not have craving for obtaining rebirth. Now this is what they say. Okay, so what you're saying is that the Arahat as stated in Abhidhamma. Who are these Arahats? Who are these Arahats as stated in Abhidhamma? According to Prasanga, not the Arahats, but Arahats as accepted by the lower schools. So now the lower schools, they are saying that these Arahats, what you call as the Arahats as stated in Abhidhamma, these people, although they have karmic potential, but they don't have the craving. Craving as the what? Affliction. Affliction as water. Water to germinate this seed. But it is definite that they do not have the craving as water for water to germinate the seed of the karma to obtain rebirth. So therefore they will not take rebirth. Okay, this is the lower school's position. From what we are seeing here is that those in the brackets, those in the what you call inverted commas, they are the lower school's positions. Okay, even if this craving is not afflictive, why is it not like ignorance? Okay, this is a little the ambiguous in nature, but the meaning I'll say like this. Okay, now. Who are you? Prasangika, me, low schools. Okay, self-grasping ignorance. Okay, let me put it like this. Seeing the flower as objectively real. They're seeing the flower as objectively real. Okay, from your point of view, is this affliction or not affliction? Is this ignorance or not? Yes. Is this affliction or not? Yes. Ignorance, self-grasping ignorance should necessarily be affliction. Okay, seeing the flower as objectively real, if you ask me, what is my answer? Is this ignorance or not? Huh? Yeah, I'm following those schools. So I'm telling you, seeing the flowers objectively real, your name? Belinda asked me, okay, Belinda asking me and you are watching me. You are Prasangika, I'm the low school. Seeing the flowers objectively real, is this a valid mind or is it ignorance? This is a question coming from Belinda to me. My answer is? Huh? Seeing the flower objectively is a valid mind. Good. I'm happy. Be daring. Don't trust my face. Right? Okay. So you are saying that, what I'm saying that seeing the flowers objectively real, there's nothing wrong with this. Not ignorance. This is a valid mind. Whereas for you, this is a ignorance. You're getting it? Okay. Now, seeing the flowers objectively real can trigger affliction, attachment, anger, so forth. So which is very subtle as compared to seeing the flower as autonomous substantially real. Seeing the flower as autonomous substantially real, which is very gross, and the affliction attached with this attachment, anger, jealousy, very gross. So these gross afflictions I can identify. Subtle afflictions I cannot identify. You can identify. Prasangika can identify, the very subtle afflictions. So the craving which is like the water to germinate the seed of karma, the craving, it can have two levels, gross and the subtle. The gross, which both sides can identify, and the subtle, which only the prasangikas identify. You getting it? Okay. So the subtle one, I cannot identify. So it says that even if this craving is not afflictive, even if this craving, the craving which you said, that this craving which will throw the arahat as mentioned as stated in the okay. Abhidhamma. Some people are yawning, still saying it. Some people are yawning, still saying that I'm not tired. Okay, I understand you, don't worry. Okay. So now, what am I saying? Huh? Okay, the craving, there are two gross and the subtle. The gross, which is identified by both the sides, and the subtle, which is identified only by prasangikas. You're getting it? Okay, with this in mind, even if the craving is not afflictive, meaning even if the craving is not afflictive as identified by you meaning lower schools, the gross afflictive. Even if the craving is grossly afflictive, even if the craving is not grossly afflictive, right? Even if the craving meaning there are two cravings, right? Craving which you're talking about, the subtle one, is not the grossly afflictive, as both sides could see. Why is it not like ignorance? Ignorance, lower schools, they speak about ignorance on two levels. Ignorance, afflictive ignorance, and the non-afflictive ignorance. Getting it? Arahats, lower schools would say the arahats don't have the gross ignorance. Arahats don't have the afflictive ignorance. They have the subtle ignorance. What is that subtle ignorance? What are the subtle ignorance the arahats have? There are four subtle ignorance arahats have, which the lower schools identify. One is ignorance ignorance due to the distance in time, and the ignorance due to the distance in space, and the ignorance due to the sophistication of karma, right? Okay, what is the fourth one? Anyone? Okay, say the ignorance due to the multiplicity, the numerosity of the phenomena. Okay, the first one, what is the first one? Due to the distance in space or time, whatever. Let's say time. Distance in time was that Shariputra, while being Arahat, he does not have the afflictive ignorance, but he has the ignorance. He displayed the ignorance pertaining to due to the distance in time, right? There was the one elderly man who came to receive ordination from Shariputra, and Shariputra did not give him ordination, saying that you do not have the enough merit to receive this. And the Buddha Shakti, then he went crying to the Buddha, and finally the Buddha gave the ordination, saying that you do have the merit. Shariputra could not see this because of the distance in time. The merit that you accumulated for your ordination, that merit was accumulated many eons ago. Shariputra's clairvoyance could not see that. Right? So this ignorance is, Shariputra's arahat. He already got rid of the afflictive ignorance, but he still has this ignorance. So that is the subtle ignorance. Okay. I don't want to go too much into all these accounts. The point is that even the arahats, according to lower schools, arahats, they still have ignorance, not the afflictive ignorance. You getting it? So now from this you can see lower schools, they posit two kinds of ignorance. The subtle and the gross one, which is afflictive ignorance, and the non-afflictive ignorance. So what is that ignorance the arahats have according to lower schools? What is that ignorance? Gross, what do you call as non-afflictive ignorance. Okay, so just as the lower schools, now you are telling me craving, which is required as water to germinate the seed of karma for somebody to be thrown into samsara. Right? So that, just as the lower schools, they speak about the ignorance on two levels, afflictive and the non-afflictive. Meaning, afflictive, the gross and the subtle. Craving also, why not? There's a gross and a subtle. Just as you accept the ignorance to have gross one and a subtle one. Okay, 46 line 3. Even if this craving is not afflictive, meaning it is not, this craving that you are talking about, that the Prasanga is talking about, is not grossly afflictive. Grossly afflictive. Why is it not like ignorance? Ignorance having two kinds, gross and subtle. Craving also, why not? It can have two kinds, gross and the subtle. Although this arhat of the Abhidharma, they eradicate the gross craving, why not they still have the subtle craving? If there's subtle craving, then the subtle craving will germinate, will serve as water to germinate the seed of the contaminant karma to throw them into samsara, next rebirth. Okay, 47. Through the force of feeling, there's craving. Now, okay, now they said, no, they don't have the craving at all. Now, Prasangas, you have to prove that there's a craving. Prasangas, you have to prove that there's a craving. How? 47. Through the force of feeling, there's craving. Craving comes from the pleasant feeling. Craving comes from the pleasant feeling. Right? Through the force of feeling, there's craving. And feeling exists in them as well. Feeling, pleasant feeling exists in these arhats mentioned in Abhidharma. Okay, is this what you're saying? You agree? With the pleasant feeling, craving is arise? Yes, no? If yes, then same question comes to you. Arhat Shariputra. Okay, Prasanga, you agree Shariputra is Arhat? Hey. Yes. Okay, Shariputra, does he have feelings? Yes, pleasant feelings? Yes, so Shariputra also has craving? Huh? Yes? Wow, strange Prasangika. So, Arhat means somebody who has already gone rid of self-grasping ignorance. If you have got rid of self-grasping ignorance, all craving, anger, everything cut from the root. You're getting it? Never ever say that I'm Prasangika and Shariputra has craving. Never ever say this. Or you can say that I'm Singaporean Prasangika. Right? According to us, yes, Arhats still have craving. Okay, so never say this. Never say this. Tell me. Now Shariputra, does he have feelings? Yes. Does he have pleasant feelings? Yes. Does he have craving? Okay, so what you are saying here in this text, it says that through the force of feeling, there is craving. This is your position, Prasanga's position. And feelings exist in them as well. Them meaning the what? Arhat as stated in Abhidharma. Right? Okay, how do you respond to this? Okay. Right? Okay, so let's read further. A mind having object is what some have. This is the point. No. Through the force of feeling, there's craving, and feelings exist in them as well. And then my debate comes to you that Shariputra, he also has a feeling, pleasant feeling. He also should have attachment. No, he has no craving. Why? Because a mind having object, mind having objective existence as an object, mind having objective existence as the object is what some have. Some here referring to the what? Arhat of the Abhidharma. Arhat of the Abhidharma, not only they have the pleasant feeling, they have this self-grasping ignorance also. Right? So pleasant feeling accompanied by self-grasping ignorance, seeing the pleasant feeling as objectively real, then the craving arises. You getting it? Just to have a pleasant feeling does not mean that you will have craving. Seeing the pleasant feeling as objectively real, then the craving arises. Okay, Shariputra, why Shariputra, does he have feeling? Hey, does he have pleasant feeling? Yes. Does he have craving? No. And it says that through the force of feeling, there is craving. Is your statement. Right? So therefore, Shariputra also has craving. No. Then how come this statement has to be supplemented by saying that through the force of feeling, through the force of seeing the pleasant feeling as objectively real, there is craving. Right? So this line has to be supplemented by the line 3 and line 4. Line 3 and line 4. You get line 3 and line 4 says what? A mind having object. What object? Objectively existent thing as an object is what some have. Right? Shariputra does not have that. Because Shariputra does not have this seeing things as objectively real. So even though there's a feeling, but Shariputra does not see the feeling as objectively real. Because he does not see the feeling as objectively real, the craving does not arise. Whereas in the case of the Arahat, as stated in Abhidhamma, they still see things as, the feeling as objectively real, and because of which the craving is bound to arise. Okay, 48. For a mind that is parted from emptiness meaning for a mind which is devoid of the experience of emptiness, what is subsided will arise again. Okay, same. Okay, so therefore, in a practice, it is advised to be in good environment. Dharma practice, it is advised to be in good environment. People who are like-minded, and say so that way, the negative emotions will arise less. Environment. Okay. Now, say this Arahat as stated in Abhidhamma. So you see that the negative emotions are subsided, and yet it says that for a mind that is parted from, but the mind is parted from the wisdom of emptiness. This Arahat of the stated in Abhidhamma, they are separate. They are parted. They are not with the wisdom of emptiness. The wisdom of emptiness. So in the case of these people, what is subsided, negative emotions subsided, can arise again in different situations. Again, for example, like the meditative equipoise of non-discrimination. Okay, so this is, let's say, what happens is that meditative equipoise of non-discrimination meaning that there's one particular meditation. Okay, let's say that what the person does is first the person tries to make the object subtler from the gross physical to the space to the consciousness, then to the vacuity. So the object. Okay, let's see. Object. At the moment, I'm seeing the flower. I'm looking at the flower. This is a physical gross object. Okay, this flower. This is beautiful, but it's very gross. As compared to space, it's very gross. Then I change the object from the gross physical to the space. Then I change space as very gross as compared to the consciousness. Then I change the object from the space to the consciousness. And the consciousness, still there's something there. So I delete the object and make the object void. Nothingness or vacuity. So now the object is void, it's very subtle, but the mind is still gross. So I try to make the mind dissolve. But the mind cannot be dissolved. Mind, we said, mind exists eternally. You're getting it? Mind exists eternally, but the Dorji's mind, as long as Dorji lasts, Dorji's mind lasts. The moment Dorji dies, then this mind will move to the next life. That is not the Dorji's mind. It's the continuation of the mind. Is my mind. If the next body is also me. Right? But not Dorji. Dorji is the self which is confined to this life. Because I am not confined to this life. I came from the past life, this life, next life. You're getting it? So Dorji's mind and my mind. Right? Dorji's mind exists for one life. My mind exists eternally. Okay. Okay, now what happens is that they try to what? These people, what they try to do, object becomes zero. Now nothing to be done with the object. Now they try to make the subject zero. Subject cannot be made zero because the mind, what is the subject? Your mind is the subject. Right? So your mind cannot be made zero. You cannot terminate the mind. So at the most, what you can do is that you can make the mind very subtle. Very subtle. So it says, what? like the meditative equipoise of non-discrimination. It's so subtle that it cannot really discriminate anything. It does not have that active state of discrimination. Okay, this is a flower, this is a human being, we are in TBC, in Singapore, all these distinctions that I'm making, right? This is a gross state. So you try to make it subtle to the extent that say, okay, in the worst case, but a very gross example would be, okay, I see admin and I don't see distinction between the admin and Dorji. I don't see the distinction, right? So there is no discrimination, right? Okay, I'm in Tibet House, I'm in TBC, I'm in Potala, no distinction. Okay, this is where this distinction is an active state of mind, and they try to make the mind subtler, subtler, subtler. Okay, now one point that I may share with you. How the mind is made subtler, subtler, subtler through the sutra system. As the mind becomes subtler, 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 the mind becomes more and more dull, inactive. As the mind becomes subtler, 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 the mind becomes more and more dull and inactive. Whereas, as the mind becomes subtler, 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 by resorting to the tantric techniques, not the sutra system, tantric techniques, you might make the mind subtler, 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 the mind becomes clearer, clearer, clearer. Right? Okay, this is the difference. I'm not going to elaborate on this. Now the point is that when they reach to this state, right, in this where the mind becomes very subtle, which is technically known as the meditative equipoise of non-discrimination. Mind becomes very subtle. It's as though like, say, this is also referred to as the mind with discrimination, without discrimination. This mind, state of the mind, is known as meditative equipoise, is known as with discrimination, meditative equipoise with discrimination, without discrimination. Why with discrimination? Because it is a mind. As long as there is a mind, there should be the mental factor, 5 omniscient mental factor. What is the 5 omnipresent mental factors? What are the 5 omnipresent mental factors? Feeling, discrimination, composition factors, attention and intention. Oh, yes? Okay, what are they? So now you are making me confused. Okay, tell me, what are they? What are the 5 omnipresent mental factors? Feeling, discrimination, composition factors? No, what is that? Huh? Feeling, discrimination, contact, attention, intention. Then it's correct. Okay, so because that any mind should necessarily have these 5 mental factors, however subtle the mind is, it should have the 5. The second one is discrimination. So you should have the discrimination. So because that is the mind, it should have a discrimination. 1. Now to say it has a discrimination, what is job of discrimination? Job of discrimination is to distinguish things. Yet this mind is too subtle that it cannot distinguish things. So therefore it is known as the mind with discrimination, without discrimination. With discrimination, because it is a mind, it should have a discrimination. Without discrimination, because it does not have the activity of discrimination. Right? So therefore this mind is so subtle. Now, in this state, how long this person will live in this state of the meditation? For millions of years. Not in the human realm, in the higher realm known as the form and the formless, particularly formless realm. Formless. Within the formless, there are 4 divisions. The 4th one, right? Peak of existence. Within peak of existence, right? Okay. So the peak of existence state, they live for millions of years in this meditative state. But don't go there. If you go there, it's very dangerous. Hey, you're not happy? You want to go there? Please don't go there. I'm saying this again. Please don't go there. It's very dangerous. You want to know why it's dangerous? Right? Oftentimes when they die, they take birth in the animal realms like this. After millions of years there. Even if you take birth in the human realm, it's Dulls, huh? Oh, dull is very good. Even dull is a good thing, right? They become like, hey, you said, hey, Kishila, what are you doing? You ask this question, my response. What did you say? Hey, Kishila, how are you doing? How am I doing? Yes, yes, yes. So slow. Emptiness, impossible. Emptiness, you should be so fast, right? Mind should be so fast. Impossible. The mind works so slow. Initially, I thought that this is not really something true. I met somebody who actually, because of the heavy drugs, the person actually went through this process. I was talking to this person was actually doing like this. I said, very fast, right? Emptiness, it should be a negative, not affirming negative like this. The person gets stuck there. You said about emptiness? I already said if non-affirming negative. He just processes, the first part is processing, emptiness. Non-affirming negative is not yet processed. Emptiness. You talk about emptiness. Yes, yes, yes. It's not a negative. Non-what? Actually, I saw that. Mind works so slow. Right? Why? In this realm, you deliberately stop the activity of the mind. Right? So the mind builds an inertia. Okay, let's say the girls use the rubber band, right, to tie your hair. The rubber band, if you stretch it for 1/10 of a second, you release it. What will happen? It'll instantly go back, right? You stretch it for whole 1 day, 24 hours. You release it. What happens? It will not go back. Why does it not go back? Because it builds a tendency. Longer the time, more the tendency is built. So they live in this state without the activity of the mind for how long? Millions of years. The tendency is built for so long. The inactivity of the mind. So therefore, even when you take birth in the human realm, the mind is so slow. Right? Okay. So with this, now, in that state, the person does not really have any sense of, say, what we see as a discrimination, right? Able to distinguish between things. But when they come out of this meditation, again, the gross mind will slowly come out. Gross mind will slowly come out with the discrimination. So likewise, the Arhat, as stated in the Abhidhamma, although they do not have the manifest afflictions at this moment, right? So, as long as they don't have the wisdom of emptiness, when under different situations, again the afflictions will arise, like the meditative equipoise of non-discrimination. Right? In that meditation, the discrimination stops temporarily. When they come out of this, again the discrimination will come back. Okay. Therefore, meditate on emptiness. So now tell me, say both arhats of the Abhidhamma and the arhats of the Prasangika, both arhats, they are equal in having the contaminant karmas. Yes, no? Hey, your mind is also moving so so slow. Okay, arahat as stated by Abhidharma and arahat as stated by Prasangika, the real arahats, these two are same in having the contaminant karmas. Yes, no? And these contaminant karmas have to be supplemented by the water of the afflict craving in order to take birth in samsara. Yes, no? Yes. So, for this craving to arise, it arises from the pleasant feelings. Yes, no? And both arahats have the pleasant feelings. Yes, no? Yes. So, in the case of the arahats as stated by Prasangika, the real arahats like Shariputra, they have the pleasant feeling, and then the craving arises. Yes, no? No. For the Abhidhamma, the arahats as stated in Abhidhamma, they have the pleasant feeling, then the cravings can arise. Okay, what's the distinction? Why? Why in the case of the Arhat of the Abhidhamma, craving can arise? Why in the case of Shariputra, craving does not arise? Why? With the same condition that they both have the pleasant feeling. Why? Raise hand. Yes. Objective real. Very good. So the true Arahats, they, what is, with all other factors intact, one which is distinct, different from the Arahat of the Abhidhamma is that they don't have the ignorance to view things as objectively real. That part is missing. How come that they don't have this? Because of the meditation emptiness. So therefore, if somebody really wants to achieve Arahatship, where the pleasant feelings arise, still the craving does not arise, for that matter, what should we be doing? We should meditate on emptiness. So it says, therefore, meditate on emptiness. We're getting it? So therefore, the meditation on emptiness is so precious. Right? Okay, 49. If you accept it spoken by the Buddha, okay, now again about the sutras. Okay, we'll quickly go through this. If you accept as spoken by the Buddha, any speech that conforms to the sutras, then if you accept as spoken by the Buddha, any speech that conforms to the sutras, accepted sutras, Hinayana sutras. If you referring to the lower schools, Hinayana practitioners, and who's saying this? The Prasanga is saying this. Prasanga is telling the lower schools that if you accept as spoken by the Buddha any speech that conforms, that is compatible with the sutras which you accept, Hinayana sutras, then are the Mahayana not sutras, which for the most part are equivalent to your sutras. You are getting it? Mahayana sutras, if you compare with the Hinayana sutras, most of them are very similar. In fact, I think 2 or 3 years ago, there's one Theravada monk. We are very good friends. And then in the car, I gave him just a book, the Tibet House book. And then he just browsed through and he accidentally happened to get hold of the Heart Sutra. So it begins, thus have I heard at one time in what vultures speak. This is how it began. So he said, oh, your Heart Sutra is very similar to ours. He said it. So the style and everything is the same, right? So the point is that it says, 49, if you accept as spoken by the Buddha any speech that conforms to your sutras, to the Hinayana sutras, then the Mahayana sutras, then are the Mahayana not sutras, which for the most part are equivalent to your sutras. Very similar. So therefore, if simply say any teaching which conforms to your sutras, if you say that these are actually taught by the Buddha, then the Mahayana sutras are also taught by the Buddha because they are very similar to your sutra also. 50. If because of one exception all would become corrupt, if you say that in this the Mahayana Sutra there's one section which disagrees, which does not tally with the Hinayana Sutra, so therefore it is not acceptable, it's corrupt, then why? Because of one equivalence to the sutras would not all have been spoken by the Buddhas also. Right? And then if they simply because you see one point which disagrees with what you believe, so therefore you say the whole thing is wrong, then seeing one thing which is acceptable by you, you should accept the whole thing is correct. So this is what you are saying is totally not logical. 51. And who would consider unacceptable some speech, the depth of which Mahakashyap and the like could not fathom because you cannot understand it? Okay, this is an extremely important point. Now, what are those areas? What are those areas in the Mahayana Sutra which they cannot accept? Are these sections which are explicitly taught for the Bodhisattvas? You're getting it? There are topics which are very sophisticated topics which only the Bodhisattvas can tackle, understand, which those who seek personal liberation like Mahakashyap. Mahakashyap is the first heir of the Buddha Shakyamuni. First heir. Even he cannot fathom the teachings meant for the Bodhisattvas. So, therefore, they say, and who would consider unacceptable some speech the depth of which Mahakashyap and the like could not fathom, because you cannot understand. Simply because you don't understand it, you reject it to be the teaching of the Buddha. Okay, do you know the story of the Albert Einstein? No? You know the story of Albert Einstein? What happened was that Albert Einstein, he was very young, and he was thinking of applying for PhD. Right? Then he was asked to write some kind of thesis to see whether or not he's qualified for PhD enrollment. Then he wrote some stuff, and the two professors were appointed. Right? Two professors were appointed to evaluate his writing. And then the head of the department asked the two professors, okay, this boy, is he eligible for the PhD enrollment? Both the professors said, yes, he is extremely qualified for this. And then what he wrote, both the professors, we do not know anything what he wrote. We don't know anything what he wrote, right? Okay. The two professors did not understand anything what he wrote. But they knew that this is a brilliant thinker, brilliant person. Right? Okay, so likewise, even Mahakashyap, he could not understand what was taught in the Mahayana teachings, Mahayana Sutras. So simply because you don't understand, doesn't mean that this is something to be discarded. There's something very profound which even Mahakashyap cannot understand. Right? So simply because you don't understand it, don't discard it as saying that it's not the teaching of the Buddha. Okay, 52. The fruit of emptiness is this. While being freed from the extremes of attachment and fear, one is able to remain in samsara for the sake of those who suffer due to ignorance. Okay, now the summation that what is the fun benefit of the meditation emptiness is the following. While being freed from the extremes of attachment and fear, right? You are freed from attachment, fear, and so forth. All these, the extreme emotions, you are freed from them because the root of these are cut. The root of these is the self-grasping ignorance. With the wisdom of emptiness, the self-grasping ignorance is cut, and all your attachment or fear, everything is got rid of. Okay. One is able to remain in samsara. So while you cut the suffering, still you can be in samsara, not affected by samsara. Right? So why we suffer, why we are afraid of samsara is because that we are easily affected by samsara. Sickness, aging, death, tension, stress, depression, and so forth. So now what he's saying that you can still be in samsara, you can benefit the beings while not affected by the fears of samsara. No fear, no attachment, nothing. Right? Samsara cannot affect you. Meanwhile, you can help the samsaric beings. Attachment, fear, one is able to remain in samsara for the sake of those who suffer due to ignorance. You can see that the beings are suffering, to whom you love so much, they are suffering because of ignorance. So you want to teach emptiness to them so that the samsara will come to an end, the misery will come to an end. This is the benefit. So in a way, this is the teaching for the Mahayana practitioners, saying that, because that we continue to work for the sentient beings, what happens is that we are easily being inflicted by the pains, dissatisfaction, and people not expressing gratitude to you for your efforts and so forth, right? So you feel easily affected. So all these, you will be given the armor. You will be protected from all these, if the samsara affecting you, because of the armor of the wisdom of emptiness. And yet, you can continue to help the beings because of, you see the emptiness in the light of dependent origination. By seeing dependent origination, then you see how beneficial it is to benefit sentient beings while you are not affected. For example, the mother, when the mother is very strong, right? Say the children are very sick, tuberculosis and so forth, but if the immune system very strong, the mother can continue to nurse the children, yet the children's illness cannot affect the mother. Okay, this is how the Bodhisattva should be practicing, and this is possible only with the wisdom of emptiness. If the mother is very weak, the children's tuberculosis can easily affect the mother, and the mother cannot really nurse the children. The mother suffers, the children suffer. Okay, 54. Emptiness is the remedy to the darkness of the afflictive and cognitive obscurations. How can one wishing to quickly achieve omniscience not meditate on emptiness? So finally, saying, the Buddha said, the teaching of the Buddha summarized by saying, commit no evil. If you commit evil, you will have miseries, right? You don't want miseries. Get out of miseries. So seeking to get out of misery is known as renunciation. 1. Number 2, accumulate as great wealth of virtues. When the misery is gone, what do you want? I want the infinite happiness. If you want infinite happiness, accumulate as great wealth of virtues. What is the best of the virtue to create the happiness? Bodhicitta. Number 2 is the bodhicitta. Number 1 is commit no evil. It should take you to renunciation. Number 2, accumulate as great wealth of virtues as possible. This will take you to bodhicitta. What is number 3? Hey, what is number 2? Tame your mind. Okay, how do these two things so effectively? What's the goal of renunciation? What's the goal of bodhicitta? Tell me. The first line says renunciation. Number 2 line says bodhicitta. What is the goal of renunciation? Stop suffering. Right? To stop suffering for yourself. What is the goal of bodhicitta? What is the goal of bodhicitta? Hey. Huh? To benefit all sentient beings, to get infinite happiness, benefit the beings. Hey. Huh? Hey. What do you say? Hey, somebody say something.
Something.
Yes, to achieve Buddhahood, right? So, if you hit the main target, right? So, what is the goal of the renunciation? To renounce the miseries, not to renounce the good cause. Right? Some people, they think renunciation means, oh, I mean, you are in Buddhism now. Oh, I'm sorry for you. Okay, now can I come close to you? Right? You are now with the... okay, so you are now not in good cause. Good food, no? Right? I'm organizing the birthday party. Can you come? Not come? Right? I'm near afraid because you are in Buddhism, right? Buddhism. This is such a trend going, right? People say, oh, Buddhism, oh, he sacrifices his life. No, this is the wisest thing, right? He's trying to get the maximum happiness. It's not sacrifice. Sacrifice means you lose happiness, but you're getting the maximum happiness. You're getting rid of suffering. You're getting the maximum happiness. This is the wisest thing. Yet people get such a weird understanding of Buddhism, right? Okay, so the point is renunciation. What do you see? What is the goal? Is to renounce miseries, to bring an end to the miseries. What is the goal of bodhicitta? To achieve Buddhahood, full awakening, the Buddhahood, right? Okay, how should I do it very effectively? Tell me. What's the final cause of say, to renounce miseries? You have to renounce the final cause of the miseries. What's the final cause of miseries? Self-grasping ignorance. How to get rid of self-grasping ignorance? Wisdom of emptiness. Tame your mind to meditate on the wisdom of emptiness. Don't forget it. 1. Number 2, what is the goal of bodhicitta? Buddhahood. What stops you from achieving Buddhahood? What stops achieving Buddhahood? Cognitive obscurations. Because I said self-grasping for the first time, second must be self-centered attitude. No. Second one is cognitive obscurations, right? What is cognitive obscurations? It is a mental state inside, mental defilement, mental stain inside, which has the appearance of the objects to be objectively real. Appearance, erroneous appearance of things to be objectively real. So that has to be eradicated. How to eradicate that? Again, only with the wisdom of emptiness. You're getting it? Wisdom of emptiness. Only with the wisdom of emptiness, but wisdom of emptiness driven by the force of bodhicitta. You're getting it? So, to accomplish the goal of the renunciation, to accomplish the goal of the bodhicitta, the final, the remedy, the measure that you have to embrace is to tame your mind by meditating on the wisdom of emptiness, right? Commit no evil. Commit no evil. What the Buddha is saying? Go for renunciation. Accumulate as great wealth of virtues. The Buddha is saying what? Go for bodhicitta. And how to perfect, how to materialize the two goals of these two aspirations? Tame your mind by meditating on the wisdom of emptiness. This is the teaching of the Buddha. Right? If you understand this stanza in this form, you understand the teaching of the Buddha in its most refined form. Otherwise, right, say for a very lay, say beginner, we can say, hey, don't do bad things, the Buddha said, commit no evils. Right? Hey, do good things, the Buddha said, accumulate a great wealth of virtues. And don't behave badly, behave nicely, Buddha said, tame your mind. And this teaching of Buddha, very simple. But deeper implication, it is amazing. We're getting it? Renunciation, bodhicitta, how to perfect, how to materialize the two aspirations of these two the thoughts by taming the mind, meaning meditate, tame your mind. So far, our mind is so addicted to seeing things as objectively real. Right? It is not tamed. How it is not tamed? Because our mind is going so addicted to us, objectively real, 24/7. In the dream, outside the dream, 24, objectively real. This is how our mind is so indisciplined. Tame your mind. Revolutionize your mind. Revolutionize the thinking of your mind. Where objectively real. Revolutionize this by seeing things as objectively real. Only then the mind will rest. Right? This is the greatest state of the mind for the mind to finally have the final rest. That is the final taming of the mind. Right? Okay. 55. Okay, let's do 54. Emptiness is the remedy to the darkness of afflictive and cognitive obscurations. Okay, renunciation, to renounce miseries. How to renounce miseries? By renouncing the afflictive obscurations. How to renounce afflictive obscurations? By the meditation emptiness. And the cognitive obscurations. We have to remove the darkness of the cognitive obscurations. Right? For what? For to achieve Buddhahood. To achieve the goal of the bodhicitta. So how can we do that? How can one wishing to quickly achieve omniscience, quickly achieve Buddhahood, not meditate on emptiness? Right? Okay. 55. While fear should be with... Okay, now, this is the clarification given by the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra. So some people, when they speak, when some people, when they hear about emptiness, they are so scared. Right? They're so scared. Okay, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in fact, I remember His Holiness sharing the one anecdote. Somebody who was, for all these many years, the person was brought up in the tradition of believing in objectively existent person. And then the person became interested in His Holiness' teachings. Then he had an audience with His Holiness, and then he requested for His Holiness' teachings. Then His Holiness touched on the concept of emptiness, and suddenly His Holiness said that the person started to tremble. So much fear, I'm not there, right? I'm not objective, I'm not real, I'm not there. Okay, so there, the person, when heard the teaching on emptiness, the person started to feel the fear. Okay, Tell me, what actually creates the fear? What actually creates the fear? Self-grasping ignorance, right? So say what creates, if you apply a remedy to overcome the factor which creates fear, that factor should be the cause for fearlessness. Yes? I'll repeat this. If you employ a remedy which can eradicate the cause of the fear, that remedy should be the cause of the fearlessness. Yes? No? Good. So, the wisdom of emptiness is the one which eradicates the self-grasping ignorance, which in turn is the cause of the fear. So, therefore, the wisdom of emptiness should not be the cause of the fear. It should be the cause of fearlessness. Right? It should not be the cause of fear. Instead, it should be the cause of the fearlessness. So, why should you be afraid of listening to the teaching on emptiness? Right? This is what the author is saying. Because at times, when the people who do not believe in the emptiness of objective existence, when they hear about the teaching on the emptiness, either they are very scared or they will block their ears and run away. Right? So the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra is saying, while fear should be with what gives rise to suffering, fear should be with what gives rise to suffering. What gives rise to suffering? Self-grasping ignorance gives rise to suffering. So you should be actually afraid of the self-grasping ignorance. Right? If you really fear something, you should fear something that gives rise to suffering. That is self-grasping ignorance. Emptiness pacifies suffering. Emptiness does not create suffering. It pacifies suffering. It removes suffering. Why be fearful about that emptiness? You getting it? Emptiness, instead of feeling fear, you should cherish it. You should value it. You should be feeling so lucky, so fortunate that I'm so lucky that I'm met with this teaching on emptiness. Right? Final panacea to get rid of all my fears of life. Okay. Okay, now, from this point, say now, what exactly is emptiness? What exactly is emptiness? So, let's say, pertaining to this, we have to understand like this. Say, if I meet my neighbor, and the neighbor is not so kind, little rude to me, right? So, I feel irritated. So this irritation is the result of the neighbor and myself. If I'm a Buddha, no problem. The neighbor is a difficult person, the Buddha cherishes that even more. Right? Okay. So because I'm not a Buddha, I'm not anywhere close by, so I easily get irritated because of the self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude. I easily get irritated. Okay, now we see that this irritation is not 100% because of me, it's because of the other person also. So the two things, like a sound or clap, right? Two hands come together and the sound invariably arises. So the irritation invariably arises. So in this case, we see that is the I, one hand, the others, other hand. So I as the subject, the person, and others as the phenomena with which I interact. Right? So, this person and the phenomena with which I interact, these two come in contact, then the emotions can arise, burst into emotions. Attachment, anger, jealousy, fear, irritation, all these things can arise out of this. Now, thus far, what we've learned is that it is the wisdom of emptiness that will help us to quell all these disturbing emotions. So, what exactly is this, the wisdom of emptiness? So, for that, emptiness of the person, I, emptiness of the object with which I interact. So, of the two hands, right? This I am so important, this I am so objectively existent, then that is so objectively real. When these two come together, then can erupt into disturbing emotions. So, we have to see the emptiness of self, emptiness of phenomena. So phenomena here is a short form of phenomena other than the self. So the self, what exactly is emptiness? What exactly is selflessness? The selflessness of the person and selflessness of phenomena. So selflessness is taught in two ways. in two kinds, selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. Right? So Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra, Acharya Chandrakirti in his text, entry in the middle way, Madhyamika Acharya Chandrakirti text taught the selflessness of phenomena first, followed by selflessness of person. Whereas Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra teaches here in this text, selflessness of person first, followed by selflessness of phenomena. There's no difference, right? Okay. Now, selflessness of person means that there is no objectively existent self. There's no objectively existent self. Okay, who believes in objectively existent self? Except for the Prasangika, rest of the school believe in objectively existent self. Whether Buddhists, non-Buddhists, all believe in objectively existent self. Okay, so there's the many sections down there. From stanza 60 down, I already told you twice. Right? These are the repetitions of the self, objectively existent self, as posited by the non-Buddhist traditions. So which I will not go into detail because it is too the intellectual and so forth. I will at the most give you some gist. In fact, from stanza 56 through to 59, if you learn this, then we will get a clue as to how to meditate on the emptiness of the self. You're getting it? So this we have to apply in our daily life. How to meditate on emptiness of self. Emptiness yourself, then emptiness your friend, your father, your mother, your children, and see difficult people. You can meditate on the emptiness of any of the beings on the basis of what we're going to learn from here. And then we will also bring from the Aranagarjuna's text also. From there we include, so that this is something to be taken home, right? For us to take home. So how to meditate on the emptiness of self, which we're going to do tomorrow, right? Okay.